Hello, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica, my pronouns are she, her, and this is my February reading wrap-up. I'm obviously a couple months behind here in doing my monthly wrap-ups, so let's start here with first a couple of announcements. I did take a couple weeks off filming and posting on BookTube. Just needed a break, you know how it goes. For my Middle Grade Appreciation Society book club in the month of May, we're not reading a book because I want everyone to be able to focus on enjoying middle grade May events, which is like a month-long readathon being hosted by some folks. So I will have a Middle Grade Appreciation Society update this month for what the plans are for June and moving forward. I still don't know yet when the live show is going to be for us to discuss the front desk series. So just stay posted with that. And then just in terms of content, I've got some vlogs coming up, and then my February, March, and April wrap-ups coming up, and I think that covers announcements. All right, we're going back in time to February. So we'll start with stats. If all of my videos are time-stamped, so if you want to jump around to what's most interesting to you, please feel free to do that. But stats for February. I read 9 books. In terms of genre, there was 1 literary, 1 horror, 3 fantasy, 2 classics, 1 nonfiction, 1 romance, and 1 mystery thriller. Of course, with genre, they can overlap, so if the numbers don't quite add up, there's probably a couple in there that had multiple genres. I read 1 middle grade, 2 young adult, and 5 adult books. In terms of star ratings, I had 0 1-star, 2 2-star, 1 3-star, 2 4-star, and 4 5-stars. Wow! Stunning reading month, actually. The oldest book I read was published in 1929, and the newest book was published in 2022. 5 of the authors were BIPOC authors. So for the month I had a 62% rate for books written by BIPOC authors. I didn't tally how much that means for the year, but it probably is a little bit over half of the books I've read January and February were written by BIPOC authors, because in January 54% were BIPOC and in February 62% were BIPOC authors. My favorite books from the month were Ballerinas by Rachel Kapelke-Dale and Passing by Nella Larson. Those are the stats. Okay, so I wanted to come up with some kind of fun game to do for my wrap-ups because I was just getting personally a little bit tired of just going through the books that I read. So I'm going to do my wrap-ups now by playing the game MASH. So if you are a child of the 90s, you may be familiar with MASH. It was basically a way for us kids to predict the future. And it was a numbers game where you could predict things like the house you're going to live in, your career, how many kids you're going to have, who your partner was going to be. And I'm going to do my wrap-up in that style. So the way it will work is I will draw the titles of the books that I read this month out of my apothecary jar. And this is Bibliophile Brew. Take one when experiencing literary indecisiveness. This is from Owl Crate, obviously. So all the books are in here, and I will draw. And I'm going to analyze them looking at houses, meaning what setting would I like to be in. Partners, meaning who would I want to be romantically involved with from the book. Careers, meaning, you know, what job or what role would I want to play in the story. And then family, meaning, you know, what friend group or family would I want to be a part of from the books. So let's go ahead and draw our first 4. Neverseen by Shannon Messenger. In Fury Lies Mischief by Amo Jones. Uh-oh. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker. Okay, I've got it. So for house or setting, I would want to be in Neverseen. Neverseen is the fourth, let me see, is it book 4? Yeah, book 4 from the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. I gave it 5 stars. So this series is about Sophie, who discovers that she is an elf and she gets whisked away to the elfin realm, and lots of adventure ensues. And so for house or for the setting, I would want to be in this because the buildings and the atmosphere of this book are really cool. Like they're all made out of crystal and stuff in this elfin world. And in this installment, they go to this place that's like an underground forest. That sounds really, really neat. So I really love this series. Hang on, Pippi's causing problems. Pippi. Oh my gosh. She's been a terror today. I loved this installment because we really got to know more about the world, not just in like the geographic location of things, but like the political systems, the magic systems, the history of the world. There was a lot of character growth and development, and yeah, just absolutely loved it. I know there's some issues with the series, but the stuff that I loved about the book was enough to outweigh those issues, so it still ended up being a 5-star read. So that's my house or my setting. For partner or romantic partner, I'm going to go with The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. James Baldwin is a fox and he is brilliant, so I'd totally go on a date with him. But The Fire Next Time is a work of nonfiction, and it's a collection of letters, and the letters are brilliant. They cover different topics from racism to toxic influences in the church to resisting like cultural influences and things like this. So it's really, really good. It's really well written. And one of the things that I loved about James Baldwin and just his tone and the overall sort of vibe that I got from the book was that he has a lot of righteous anger, meaning he has every right to have the anger he has, but he's still like really compassionate and kind and loving towards others, which absolutely impressed me. I know for myself, when I have that righteous anger, it's hard for me to still have compassion, and he does it so well and so naturally. And call me. For job, I'm going to go with Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker and Wendy Xu. Oh, also, The Fire Next Time, I gave that 5 stars. Alright, so Mooncakes is a graphic novel. It's witchy, it's cozy, it's cute. It's about this group of witches that fights an evil, and it's such an easy read to get through, but it's so sweet, and it's very cottagecore, and it's right up my alley. I absolutely loved it. So for my job, I would want to work in their bookstore. So they have this bookstore slash coffee shop that they own, and then they also sell like witchy things and grimoires and things like that in the back room. And I would totally want to work there with the cats and the coffee and the books. I gave Mooncakes 4 stars. Thought it was wonderful. I'll definitely reread it. I want to actually buy a copy to have on my shelves because it's one that could become a really easy comfort read to get through and reread many, many times. I wanted it to go in a little bit more depth in terms of some of the issues it addresses, like transphobia and religious phobia and hatred and things like that. I wanted to just go a little bit further into that. But it is YA, so maybe it was just audience appropriate, and that was just a me thing. So that got 4 stars. And that leaves us with family or friend group, and I went with And Fury Lies Mischief by Amo Jones. And this is a dark romance. It's book 2 in the, oh, what's it called? I don't remember the name of this series, but it's about a dark circus run by the mob. And like, if you're going to have a friend group, it might as well be a bunch of mobsters who will like kill to protect you, right? Mm-hmm. So this love story is about Killian and his partner. I don't remember her name. Saskia. Killian and Saskia. It's been a while since I read these books, okay? So it's about Killian and Saskia. And the issue that I have with this book, so this was one of my 2-star reads. And Okay, the way I described this in the vlog was if I saw an outline of the plot of this story written out, I would absolutely love it and be obsessed with it. I just don't think that the plot was executed well. Like, there were just too many issues with the actual writing of the story, but the story itself I really liked, and I'm glad that I've read it because it's going to get me to the next book, which is about a couple that I'm really interested in. But yeah, that was a 2-star read. Okay, let's draw our next 4. And I only have 9, so maybe I'll just pull the rest of them. The Ballerinas by Rachel Capelke Dale. Jackal by Erin E. Adams. Passing by Nella Larson. The Promised Neverland, Volume 16. And John Doe by Tess Gerritsen. Alright, let's think about this. Okay, I've got it. Alright, so for romantic partner, I'm going with Passing by Nella Larson. Passing is literary fiction. It's like a black classic. I gave it 5 stars. It's so well done. So this is about a woman and her friend, and they are both black but could pass as white. And one of the friend is white passing, and she's married to a man who doesn't know she's white passing, and he's extremely racist. So this is a really volatile situation where if the husband ever finds out that she is black, who knows what will happen, right? So the tension in this story is high, and there are some sapphic elements between the 2 women. And the main character, I really like her a lot, and so I wouldn't mind having her as a romantic partner. So that's what I'm doing for my romance. But yeah, this book is so well written. Nella Larson did such a good job of building that tension and really making you feel so worried about this woman who's white passing and like what is going to happen when her husband finds out about this. And really addresses a lot of contemporary issues in a pretty short novel. For friend group, I went with 2 of them since there's 9 in this draw. So first is The Promised Neverland, Volume 16 by Kaiti Shirai and Pusuka Demizu. This is a graphic novel manga series. A manga series about this orphanage that turns out to not be what we think it is. The kids escape and now they're trying to survive in like this dystopian hellscape, basically. And number 16, I gave 3 stars. Yep, 3 stars, because it's brilliant as always, but it got a little bit convoluted at a certain part because the characters are supposed to be in this dimension where they're transcending time and space, and I didn't understand the physics of that. That got just a little too out there for me to really wrap my head around, I think. So this installment was a 3-star read, but I chose it for friend group because, oh, the way that these kids love and care for each other and have each other's back is so, so admirable. The other one that I chose for friend group is The Ballerinas by Rachel Capelke Dale. This was a 5-star read for me. This read shocked me by how good it was. So I was expecting just a run-of-the-mill thriller, and it was so much more than that. This really gets into some of the issues connected to the Me Too movement, and it talks about some of the seedy underbelly of the dance world. And, you know, there's the ballet elements in it, which I absolutely love. I'm obsessed with ballet, so books about ballet are always going to be something I enjoy. And I picked it for a friend group because this group of female friends, they go through something together, and they cover each other for it for the rest of their lives. And, like, they go to some lengths to protect and heal one another. And it's not that their friend group is perfect. They definitely have some issues, but you're not going to break their bond, if you know what I mean. And Yes, this was so good. So good. If you haven't read it and you love ballet, give it a read, because I was legitimately surprised. Like, my jaw hit the ground with some of the lines in here and some of the ideas. Like, I could not believe that this was so much more than I thought it was going to be. And so I did go ahead and buy Capelki Dale's next book called The Ingenue, and hopefully we'll be able to read it soon. I want to reread this again this year because I listened to it on audiobook, but I feel like I'll get so much more out of it if I read it with my eyes. So I'm planning in December to do some rereads of some of the books that I read this year that I loved. So look for me to read this one again this year. What did we do? We did friend group. We did romance. So we've got job and setting left. Okay. So for setting or house, I'll go with John Doe by Tess Gerritsen. This is a novella installment in the Rizzoli and Isles series, and I believe this was a 2-star. Yep, this was another one of my 2 stars. So I don't think this needs to exist, honestly. It really doesn't advance the series all that well. It really doesn't add anything to the characters. So, you know, it's very skippable. If you're reading the Rizzoli and Isles series, you really don't need to read that one. You're really not missing much. But basically, it's a victim revenge story. And I picked that for setting because I just love Maura and Jane and Boston. It just sounds really cool. So, I'd love to hang out with them in Boston and solve crimes. And then the last one I picked for job is Jackal by Erin E. Adams. So this is an adult sort of thriller magic realism story about a woman who goes back to her hometown. She's remembering all the racism that happened in this hometown, and she goes to her best friend's wedding, and at the wedding her best friend's daughter goes missing, and she starts to piece together just this history happening in this town of young girls around that age, young black girls going missing, and starts to unravel that mystery. And it's very, very good. The ending also got a little convoluted. You've got to have a little bit of background about some African folklore, I think, to really understand the ending and appreciate it. Bree from Locked Booktician has a really good analysis of this book, and I definitely recommend checking her channel out if you want to see kind of a breakdown of some of that. But I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. The reason that I picked it for job is because the wedding that takes place happens in this barn that hosts events and things, and I think it'd be really cool to own that barn and be an event planner. So that is that. Okay. That wraps up what I read in February. My March and April wrap-ups will be coming soon, along with some vlogs. Have you read any of these books that I mentioned? If yes, let me know down below what you thought of them. If you just want to let me know that you are here, go ahead and leave a ballet slipper emoji for my favorite book of the month. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye!